Right now, this is Ticker News Insight.
Hello and welcome back to Ticker News Insight, where we are looking to focus on the best of business with very clever people, bringing us ideas from all around the world. I'm your host, Mike Loder, and to our latest story. And Dr. Jen Self is the owner and principal racial and gender justice coach, consultant, and strategist with the company Brick 13. Dr. Self serves clients who are individual leaders, teams, organizations, and guides systems that are seeking to revolutionize relationships, meeting the global community demands for equity, humanity, and justice across workplace discipline and systems of influence. Dr. Jen Self, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
No worries at all. Some important discussions to be had. How does this work in your consulting practice based on the stuff that you're working on and the stuff you've studied, and how do you bring all of that into what you're doing at your practice?
Right. So, one of the most important things I think as a white person doing this work is that we don't do it in isolation, that we do it in deep and connected community with Black and Indigenous and brown leaders all over the world, and that we are doing this collaboratively. So many white leaders are out there, I think, trying to do this work by themselves. And frankly, I think that's really unethical. We need to be following the leadership of Black, brown, and Indigenous leaders.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to start as well. So justice and equity transformation obviously takes a lot of time, as we've seen and continue to see. It's not a one-off move, it's layered as well. Is that the case? Can you tell us more about this statement and I guess what it means to your work as you go about your day-to-day?
Yes, right. This work is layered in that it's individual, it's structural, it's organizational, and we can't start with let's do a training and then that's it. And that's often what we see. We see organizations saying, come in and do a training for us. And really what we need to be doing is starting with our internal work and also looking at the policies and procedures we've got in our organizations right now, looking at how they're not working, looking at how our hiring practices are not working, looking at pretty much every single aspect of the organization and how those things are built to be inequitable from the start. So we're deconstructing white supremacy at every single level of the organization and every single level of our humanity. Yeah. And that's not going to take a one-off. That's going to take probably the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. And there, of course, is those tiny, minuscule examples, those micro levels as well that you've sort of got to unpack, which must be a tedious task. But you have a PhD in social work. You're a clinical professor and founder of the UWQ Center. How is your experience unique? And I guess what perspective does that offer clients that perhaps other people in your same field don't have?
Yeah, well, one of the things is I've had the opportunity to work with young people and young queer and trans folks for, probably 25 years. And so it's been a really reciprocal relationship for me with all of these young people. And the other thing about queer folks is that we are always having to think outside the box. Always. We've been inventing ourselves since the very beginning. If we look at all the movements that have really been around the world, the global movements for justice, at the center of those have been queer and trans people who are Black and brown. And so those are the people who, I've been serving for most of my life, are Black and brown and white, trans and queer people, and learning from them and working with them. And so I have that intimate knowledge plus my own life experience. And my life experience as a non-binary person kind of has me always thinking about what are the in-betweens? What are the spaces where I have to invent new answers to things that don't exist. And that's always putting me in a place of innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an incredible journey. So let's talk a little bit about how I understand you describe yourself as a queer Jedi. What does that mean to you, Dr. Self, and how is that advantageous to your clients? I happen to be a massive Star Wars fan, but let's finish on this question here. So take me through what you mean by that.
Great. Well, JEDI just stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Also, you want to add the A to it, but then it doesn't say Jedi. So I think about Jedi warriors. You know, I am a big Star Wars fan too, and I think about Jedi as really being not somebody who is just an individual, but who's connected to movements that are global, right? And this force of liberation across the planet. And I really believe that all of us have to be in connection with that force if we are really going to topple some of the structural forms of oppression that have been operating globally on this planet for years and years and years.
Absolutely. Dr. Jen Self, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program. Thank you for bringing your work to our attention, and I'm wishing you all the best for the future. So thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And of course, thank you to all of you for tuning in. I've been your host, Mike Loder. Be sure to head to tickernews.co for breaking news coming to you from right around the world. I'm wishing that conversation could have gone on a bit longer, but it's all the time we've got. I'll see you again very soon. Be well.